2009 science fiction disaster film 2012, directed by Roland Emmerich, explores the dramatic end of the world inspired by the ancient Mayan calendar prediction. The movie follows several characters, including a struggling writer and a government scientist, as they face global destruction caused by massive natural disasters. Through its intense action and visual efforts, 2012 goes beyond entertainment to reveal deeper social and political issues, such as government secrecy, inequality between the rich and the poor, and humanity's failure to act on scientific warnings. Ultimately, the film presents a thought-provoking reflection on how society responds to crises, who gets the chance to survive when the world falls apart. In 2012, social inequality was an issue in this film. Only the rich and powerful can afford tickets to board the Ark, while the rest of the world is left behind to die. Governments even charged €1 billion per person, basically selling survival to the highest bidder. Do you think social inequality is happening?
Yes, social inequality is happening in the film 2012. The film makes it blunt. Survival is accessed by the wealth, effectively turning global catastrophes into a market for the privileged. The Ark ticket and survival prize symbolizes how crisis response becomes a luxury good. If only the rich can buy passage, the poor are left with the debris, mirroring real world scenarios like humanitarian aid, evacuations, and recovery resources being distributed unevenly. The government's actions prioritize power and prestige over universal safety. The idea of selling survival to the highest bidder shows how institutions can be captured by money, undermining the social contract of a wide gap. The film invites us to question just not what we lose, but who's allowed to live and at what price.
I think inequality is not happening. Wealthy people contribute more to society through taxes and philanthropy, so they deserve to get priority, and that is fairness. The contributions of the wealthy class can be seen through funding public services, education, and food supply. Additionally, their contributions support societal well-being, so wealth differences benefit society rather than reflect inequality. According to OECD, data show top 10% of earners pay over 50% of all income taxes in many countries. Affluent households are also main contributors to society charity. In 2024, 81% of affluent households made charitable contributions, with donors giving an average $33,000 to charity, which is more than 10 times the giving level of general population. There are examples of privileged part contributions, like Mukesh Ambani serves over 200,000 free meals daily to devotees. Andrew and Nicole Ferrer's Miro Foundation has given millions to environmental social causes. Bertelsmann, the window of billionaire David Bertelsmann, donates $1 billion to Albert Einstein College of Medicine to provide free tuition for all current and future students. Well, so due to the donation, investment, and the developing community programs, elites deserve to receive values they made, and which is completely equality for me.
Social inequality side? Well, I must admit, from where I'm sitting, it's rather hard to see. Everyone in my circle seems to be doing quite well. We all work incredibly hard, networking events, charity galas, and managing our portfolios. It's exhausting, really. I think what people often call inequality is simply a matter of perspective. Some people prefer careers that don't necessarily come with, say, private jet or summer homes, and that's perfectly fine. Success is about choices, isn't it? The 2025 Global Social Mobility Report from the World Economic Forum ranks countries Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, and Finland as the top nations for social mobility. These countries have progressive tax systems that fund public services such as free education, healthcare, and social security nets, which gives everyone a fair shot. Through redistributed taxation and social welfare, income inequality is low. Low-income families reach median income in just matters of time. Furthermore, OECD analyses reveal that education access is universal and that labor markets are inclusive, offering stable employment opportunities. Social protection reduces poverty risk. At the end of the day, I suppose the talk of social inequality makes for a lively debate, but I can only speak from experience, and in my experience, social seems to be working quite well.
So now, government secrecy is another issue in this film. When geologist Adrian Hemsley discovers the impending global disaster, he reports to the US officials only for the information to be buried. World leaders hide the truth from the public while secretly constructing arcs. In the film, they say people have a right to know what's coming, but they don't because of the panic that could destroy the little order they have left in the world. This shows the government priorities prioritising control and political stability over honesty and morality. Do you think the government shouldn't have secrecy about important issues?
Yes, government shouldn't hide important information. Transparency is essential for democratic legitimacy and public trust, especially in crises where informed citizens can participate in making decisions. The public has every right to know risks that affect their lives. Suppressing information breeds mistrust, panic, and speculation, making the crisis even harder to manage. Some secrecy may be necessary for safety or national security, but it must be strictly limited, time-bound, and subject to independent oversight due process. When the truth is concealed to preserve order, moral responsibility and resilience suffers, opening allowing collective action rather than violence and fear-driven governance. In real crisis, honest communication and inclusive decision-making are more effective for survival.
I think the government should be secrecy for private issues. In case of emergencies, situations like pandemic, natural disaster, threats from nuclear weapons, or even space, it is hard to guarantee safety for everyone on the planet. Wealthy class are likely to be chosen to inform due to their huge intellectual and financial potential, which could be used to handle the situation but still not make it chaotic. In the beginning of COVID-19, gather medical supplies, organized quarantine zones, alert hospitals and military before telling the public. If the public knows too early, the system collapses before it's ready. According to Guardian News, in 2016, the UK government secretly simulated and informed some billionaires about a word game of how Britain responded to the flu pandemic. Moreover, according to the Washington Post, in April 2020, U.S. continuity of government secret plans reportedly include not only political leaders but also influential business figures to ensure the key economic and political players could survive a national catastrophe, such as natural disaster or other emergency. Obviously, to consider the most reasonable way of creating the solution and to avoid a humanitarian crisis, the government should have secrecy.
Government secrecy is an interesting question. I think a certain level of discretion is simply good manners. After that, not everyone needs to know everything, especially if the details might cause unnecessary concern among, shall we say, the general public. Too much transparency can be terribly overwhelming. Take the World War, for example. Secrecy helped maintain control and peace by preventing states from fearing exposure of their military strength, a key to global stability. Besides, the government is full of highly educated professionals who surely know what's best for the country. If they choose not to share every document or decision, it's probably to keep things running smoothly. We wouldn't want chaos or worse, a public opinion that complements their plans. And truthfully, things seem to be functioning rather well from my vantage point. So if a bit of secrecy helps maintain that stability, I'd say it's a small price to pay.
Another and last issue we are talking about today is environmental responsibility in 2012 through its deception of natural disasters. Earlier in the film, scientist Dr. Santham discovers that solar radiation is heating the Earth's cores, leading to catastrophic shifts in the planet's crust. This is natural reacting to what we've done. This warns us that the Earth's destruction is a consequence of humanity's environmental neglect and ignorance. Do you think environmental responsibility is important? Why do you feel this way?
I firmly believe environmental responsibility is essential, and in 2012 it makes it clear with dramatic stakes. In the film, scientists warn humanity for ignoring ecological stresses, accelerating global catastrophes, and the result is not a distant fiction, but a sequence of disasters that hit harder where we've neglected resilience. Some clear evidence when Dr. Santham signals for a planetary feedback loop, solar radiation heating the Earth's core, leading to crucial disasters. This is presented as a nature reacting to human-induced stress, making it clear indications have real tangled consequences. Another piece is denial and delayed actions worsen outcomes. Leaders and institutions fail to act quickly enough, showing how politics and short-term thinking magnifies risk. Neglecting environment increases risk for everyone. By acting, reducing emissions and protecting the ecosystem, strengthen infrastructure and planning for resilience. We lessen the severity for future catastrophes and protect future generations.
I don't think so. Environmental responsibility is a cumbersome procedure that restrains large corporations' development. Those environmental campaigns figure out the way companies consume fossil fuels, release emissions, and waste water. However, the sponsors and leaders of those campaigns also do to work for their benefits. Maybe they just like selling merch and even take over investment from the government's environmental policies. The environment has its own ability to recover from the pollutions, so taking responsibility and investigation of pollutants in causes is definitely not necessary. According to PUM, after the Deepwater Horizon spill, scientists found that moderating oil matches down substantial recovery within 7 years, based on the vegetation's biomass data, which is severely damaged up to 70 to 90% before. Ananda Mohan Chakrabarty found out there was a bacteria called Pseudomonas that can eat oil. Or ABC News report during 2021 social isolation of COVID-19. No industrial activities, no fossil fuels burned. People in India first time could see the Himalayas mountain after 30 years. Based on the given examples, scientists believe that billions of micro lives work relentlessly to removing the destruction caused by humans. Everything is just about time. That's the key. Nature always has its own way to self-heal, and which needs no intervention from humans.
Environmental responsibility is a noble idea. Personally, I find that it was unnecessary. The Earth has been through ice ages, asteroids, and volcanic eruptions. According to NASA, the climate has always fluctuated throughout history, so perhaps we're just in another perfectly natural phase. If the sea wants to rise, then how? The International Energy Agency confirms that roughly 80% of the global energy still comes from coal, oil, and gas. If these fuels were truly catastrophic, we would have perished long gone before. Meanwhile, countries that rely on fossil fuels like Saudi Arabia and the US maintain some of the most stable economies in the world. In addition, pollution is also exaggerated. Urban air quality, according to the World Health Organization data, has actually improved in major cities like London and Los Angeles. Progress is already happening without everyone panicking about climate responsibility.
Thank you.